So, more confidence letters, more calls for Boris Johnson to resign. A former cabinet minister, Dame Andrea Leadsom, yesterday saying, in a letter to her constituents, not acceptable, not acceptable. Partygate might be over, but the Boris saga continues. It always, to me, feels a bit like the morning after the night before. Yesterday, another 3 people. Some political experts, including our very own Peter Carbour, have said that he does believe there'll now be a vote of no confidence, doesn't think Boris Johnson will lose it. That could, in effect, put a cap on it. 12 more months. I've no idea. One man who's been criticising Boris Johnson since before he became the leader in the House of Commons, to be fair, Roger Gale. So, Roger, morning. Welcome to Talk Breakfast. How are you?
I'm very well. Good morning, Jeremy.
Thank you. You're not on holiday, are you?
No, I'm working.
You got your short-sleeve shirts on. I thought you were in Gran Canaria. It'd be one of those flights you managed to get out of Manchester.
I wish. No. One day we'll be able to fly from Manston in my constituency, but we're still waiting for a decision on that.
So, Roger, there are 2 views to this. I know what yours is, and I want to try the other. This steady trickle of letters is not a stream. A lot of criticism in the newspaper this morning. I'd like your view, because you were one of the first MPs to come out and say, I'm not happy with Boris Johnson. I've written a letter. You've been very candid and very upfront. There doesn't seem to be any concerted plan here. It's dribs and drabs. Do you believe it's gathering force, or do you think it's a damp squib? What's your personal opinion?
It would appear to be gathering force. I said after the publication of Sue Gray's report that I thought that what would happen when there wasn't an immediate flood of letters then was that members would go back to their constituencies. They would talk to people. They would read their emails. They would see the strength of public opinion on this subject, and that gradually those letters would come in. I don't believe this is any form of orchestrated campaign, and judging by the nature of the people that come from right across the party who are putting in letters, I think it is gathering momentum, and I think more momentum will gather after the bank holiday weekend when members of Parliament get back to Westminster, and I think it is highly likely that there will be a challenge to the leadership.
You believe there'll be a vote of confidence. Let's talk about what might have tipped more people to come forward. The popularity ratings, that chart yesterday or 2 days ago showing that Boris Johnson is the bottom of everyone's list and has I think a minus 20, 35, I don't know what it was, a minus approval rating. Would that have unnerved a few MPs?
I think it will, and I think the fact that in the Conservative Home poll, which is a Conservative poll, he actually has he's the only Member of Parliament that has a minus rating.
Is that normal? Is that normal, though?
No, it's not. And there was a time when he was quite popular. There are others who are quite near the bottom of the list as well, but he is the only one, I think I'm right in saying.
Well, the one that you keep going on about isn't doing any better either, Rishi Sunak, is he?
No, to be fair, he's not. But then I don't keep on going about him either. There are this myth, that we haven't got another leader. We're spoilt for choice.
Let's talk about that, because you're very honest, and I love having you on. Let's talk about one of the things that a lot of people say is one of the reasons that Boris Johnson probably will. I mean, he will survive a vote of no confidence. You and I both know that. It's just whether he gets wounded enough, because he's not going to lose.
Don't be too sure about that, Jeremy. I'm not sure that he will. I know that the Downing Street line, which the cabinet members are now peddling, Dominic Raab did it this morning. Others tried to do it yesterday. Nadine Dorries did it yesterday and said, there'll be a majority and he will win. It's interesting to note that they're now saying not that there won't be a challenge, which is what they were saying. Mm-hmm. They're now saying there won't be a majority. Well, the Westminster electorate has been described as the most sophisticated in the world. Actually, it's the most duplicitous in the world. And I wouldn't put too much money on there being a large majority for Mr. Johnson, if a majority at all. Now, if there's a narrow majority, then he is damaged goods. But given the man, he's going to hang on for grim death.
Can I bring up two things with you? And you've always been great to me, and Richard Tice will be shouting at his radio when I say this. I still, however you lot are all going to disagree with me, I still have a problem with the Westminster electorate. I genuinely get so many messages from people saying, we voted in Johnson and we should have a right to throw him out if we're not happy with how his Conservative Party is dealing with this cost of living crisis or the fact that he has or he hasn't misled Parliament. It is absolutely true to say, Sir Roger, whether people like it or not, that we're waiting for a bunch of Tory MPs, right? And you, I separate you from this because you have talked about it from the first point, and that is how you feel. I think people also get very angry, Roger, when they hear about MPs who will only decide to get rid of Boris Johnson on our behalf when their inbox is full, or more importantly, they think they might lose their seat. That's not really perceived by many as the national interest. Would you understand that opinion?
I understand that entirely. I think there are two separate issues there. If they react because their inboxes are full, that is listening to the public, and that is perfectly
get
fair.
that.
If they're simply doing it because they think, oh, my seat's at risk, then that is self-interest, of course, and that's different.
You talked about
you get somebody like Lord Geidt, who is the Prime Minister's ethics advisor, calling him out effectively. And Lord Geidt, as far as I'm aware, is a highly honourable man. And you're dealing with a Prime Minister who wouldn't know an ethic if it hit him in the eye.
You talked about popularity ratings, and you talked about how at the moment it's sort of drip, 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 and you feel that it will be a vote of confidence, you feel it will be private, and that could surprise a few people. Do you... I mean, you touched upon it, and I'd like to ask you, there isn't an orchestrated campaign. I mean, who is there? Rishi Sunak, I think, look, if you look at that table as blown ahead gasket, you can talk about the situation with his personal finances and his wife. You can talk about, I don't know. Liz Truss, to me, isn't dynamic enough. I'm not sure. Who, I know you don't like to do, but who are we talking about? Ben Wallace? What, is he at top of the list because we're at war? I mean, I'm being honest.
There's a shopping list of people who will throw their hats into the ring. Jeremy Hunt has indicated that he will stand again.
Yeah, but you and I would both agree, if you're into honesty, he didn't do much for the National Health Service, Jeremy Hunt, did he?
He was Health Secretary for a very long time, and he did a pretty good job on a very sticky wicket indeed. But I'm not campaigning for him or indeed anybody else. But if you want the shopping list, I mean, Jeremy Hunt will throw his hat into the ring. Dominic Raab could well throw his hat into the ring. He has acted as Prime Minister. He's Deputy Prime Minister. When the Prime Minister was he took over. You've mentioned Liz Truss. She will certainly want to run. Ben Wallace has proved a highly effective and very reliable Secretary of State for Defence.
Agree.
Penny Mordaunt who's a dark horse, was Secretary of State for Defence, is a very, very good trade minister and could make the grade. Tom Tugendhat was the chairman of the Foreign Affairs Select Committee. I mean, there is a long list of people.
It's quite interesting, actually, Roger. It's quite interesting.
One of them will emerge.
Let me ask you this, right? I believe that talkTV is a snapshot anyway, very much a snapshot of what people think. Who do you think, to this show, would be, out of that list, the person who gets more emails and texts of support than any other?
Well, I'm not going to play the bus game. But the bus game is if the Prime Minister went under a bus.
No, but I'm asking you, who do you think I get more texts of support for out of that list that you just gave me?
I would, because she's well known, quite possibly Liz Truss.
Penny Mordaunt by a mile. It's weird, isn't it? Absolutely, Penny Mordaunt.
It's not weird at all. No, Penny is a very, very able girl indeed. And I'm sorry, I'm not allowed to say girl, am I? She's a very able. Penny wouldn't mind. She's a very able lady indeed. And she's got real balls. So
you're not allowed to say that either. She's not a lady and she hasn't got balls. We're in trouble, Roger. Brilliant. My favourite part of the whole week.
But of course, the person who's top of the Conservative poll at the moment is Ben Wallace, who has done a superb job, for which the Prime Minister is taking a lot of credit. But he's done a superb job over Ukraine and continues to do so. He's a former army officer. He's a decent, honourable man. He could well also cut it. So, we are, as I said, we are spoilt for choice. Somebody will emerge once there's a vacancy. At the moment, there's no vacancy.
Everybody says that Boris Johnson will hold on for dear life. You talk about how if there is a vote of confidence, which looks highly likely, there's a sort of threshold after which people start coming through the door and saying, who's going to go through Boris's door in number 10? He gets 65, 70% of the vote. Who's actually going to go through his door and say, you need to resign, Prime Minister? I can't see anybody with a pair big enough to do that, can you?
Probably not. I mean, I would do it, but I don't think he. I know perfectly well. His hand is glued to the doorknob of number 10 with Harold Geidt. He's not going unless he has to go. We all understand that.
One of the big criticisms of you and the people who are continually against Boris Johnson is, and I think it's a really fair question, is it because you don't think he's competent because of Partygate, or do you think, and it has to be asked, do you think that those of you who did not support his approach to Brexit will forever have it in your hearts and souls to end this man's career because you don't like what he got done?
No, absolutely not. And indeed, a lot of the people we've been talking about are ardent Brexiteers. Penny Mordaunt, you mentioned, certainly was a Brexiteer. Yeah. I have no problem with that at all. I accepted, and it's a quaint thing to do, but it's that we live in a democracy. I accepted the result of the referendum on the day that it was announced, because that's how the people voted, whether I like it or not, it's immaterial or not. I'm a fairly Eurosceptic Remainer, by the way, because I don't like Europe much either, for wholly other reasons. But nevertheless, I did what I did. I put my letter in after the Barnard Castle affair, when I realised it was confirmed to me, I felt it before, but it was confirmed to me, that the Prime Minister's judgment is faulty. Mm-hmm. And I didn't think that he was the fit man to be Prime Minister, and I hold to that view. I don't think that Mr. Johnson is a fit man to be Prime Minister.
Do you think he'll lead the Tory party into the next election, Roger?
No. He won't lead my Tory party into the next election.
Interesting. Always great to have you on. Thank you very much indeed. I love that. The most popular thing by a mile is you saying that Penny Mordaunt is an able girl with a big pair of balls. Fantastic.